Alrighty, it's that time to take a look at the stories, the headlines of making the rounds in the national leagues across Nigeria. This is Freshly Pressed on the Smooth Breakfast here on Smooth 98.1. We are your love music, love live stations. 31 minutes past 7. It is a marvelous money making Monday morning. June is in full swing right now, second day of June, but hey, full swing has actually begun. Welcome to another amazing week and another amazing time on radio. Yours truly, Ayokunmi here, ready to take you into what is going to be an amazing show, as it always is. You get to be a part of it as well. It's never complete without you. So all you need to do is to send your messages in to us on WhatsApp. Let us know your thoughts on the story. 0809 444 0981. 0809 444 is the WhatsApp number. If you'd love to join us on YouTube, the live stream is up there at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. All right, joining me are two fine gentlemen to break it all down, give their perspective, and if need be, take a couple of tables. We're down for that. AB Bozimo and of course Mr. C are in on a Monday morning. Good morning to you, AB.
Good morning, Sir Ayo. Good morning, Mr. C, and good morning to the wonderful listeners out there. I pray we'll be able to get through these stories without barfing this morning.
Good morning, Nayo. Good morning, Navy. Good morning, Lagos, the rest of the world. Let's get in.
Yes, indeed. Let's get in. I just have a little more of a previous comment there. We can get to the stories without barfing. Well, I will leave that to you, gentlemen, and we shall begin our journey this morning. Where do we start? So many things to talk about. Let us begin with WAEC, Mr. C. I will just quickly take this one out of the punch. The West African Examinations Council has started investigating the leakage of examination questions in the ongoing 2025 West African Senior School Certificate Examinations, according to the Sunday Punch. Now, correspondents gathered that some officials of the exam body might be connected to the leakage, particularly the circulation of the English language paper to the public 4 days, a whole 4 days before the examination. That was learned that the police had also opened a probe into the matter. More to be said there, but I will let you jump in here, Mr. C. I mean, this is nothing new in terms of leakages, but the main issue here is that leakages of examination questions, WAEC, and so on and so forth have been normalized. They're not the exception anymore. They are now the rule rather than the exception. That is a huge problem. Now, one of my issues with WAEC is why couldn't they, after discovering the leak, have suspended the exams rather than subject those students to writing fresh questions that same day late into the night.
Okay, thank you, Ayo. So, like you rightly said, this is not a new development. For people who scored in the late 80s into the 90s, they can testify to this. WAEC exam questions were leaking then, and they're still leaking now. Now, it's symptomatic of the absurdity we live in today. Sensitive electoral materials get into the hands of the wrong people before the election, and they can visibly and easily thumbprint illegally and unlawfully what they want. Now, I have two problems with WAEC's conduct. How does a paper leak 4 days before? You don't know. It's a member of the public who tipped you off. That's the first grouse I have with them. The second grouse is now that you've discovered that the paper leaked and you had to set new questions, why compel Nigerians to write those exams under inhumane and terrible conditions? Because people were writing exams with torchlights, with lanterns. Anyone who has written an exam in Nigeria can testify to the fact that depending on the question paper, even if you're in an air-conditioned, air-conditioned hall with proper lighting, you would truly sweat if the paper is difficult. Now imagine a difficult paper, difficult conditions. At the very least, every candidate deserves to write the exam under humane conditions. And in this regard, WAEC dropped the ball. They have fallen below pass mark. Now, when you read the story, you find out that there are various platforms on Telegram and WhatsApp that are offering the questions for money. Now, you would think that WAEC, as a serious gathering of human beings, would try to shut down all these platforms by infiltrating them and getting them removed from the online spaces. But no, nothing doing. We're now here. And it's not just WAEC that leaks, jam questions leak. Let me shock you. As far back as 30 years ago, common entrance questions were leaking. We had parents who would go out of their way to look for the questions for their children so they could pass.
That's how ridiculous things are. Coming into primary school, leaving examination.
But let me tie all of this up. Why is all of this happening? Because we have placed an undue emphasis on certificates. So people who do not have the natural aptitude, the natural regimen to go through the course required to obtain the certificates will look for shortcuts. And these are the shortcuts they're trying to patronize. And that's why you have certificate forgery, you have cheating, you have all sorts of ill vices pervading the land. Now, WAEC says it involved the security agencies. Good luck to all involved. Our paper is going to leak next year. I can bet my last dollar on it. They will leak, and they will leak well. Now, in doing investigations, it's a closed circle. It's between WAEC, the printer, and the printers, and the people who are sent out to distribute the papers.
Right.
It's not rocket science. But would anyone be seriously prosecuted? I'm not holding my breath.
Mr. C, I don't think you should pay your last dollar. You can give your last dollar to me. I don't think that's a good way to throw your last dollar. Last dollar away. AB, I know you wanted to just say one or two things before we move on to the next story here.
No, I just feel it's most unfortunate. Like Mr. C said, people once upon a time had to have parents that seem to have to go out of their way. The difference now seems to be it doesn't take anything to get those papers. I'm a child of two lecturers. I can tell you, growing up, I never laid my eyes on my parents' scripts or their marking. I just don't know what it must be like to just have this casual attitude now in the world towards exams and papers. It amazes me. It's very sad. And the only thing I hope and pray is that those people who participate in leaking the papers are eventually operated on by doctors who qualified through leaked exams. That would be the best fate for them.
The parents definitely not left out of this. I actually saw a story that noted allegedly a parent, allegedly I say again, got thugs to beat up a vice principal because he took her son's phone and didn't allow him to cheat during examination. So that's the sort of world we're living in right now. Ridiculousness at its peak. But anyways, AB, let's take a step into the vanguard here. Let's talk about CNG. There are indications that the federal government scheme designed to transition Nigeria's vehicle transportation service industry away from fossil fuels, aka petrol and coal, to gas has encountered a major hitch. Now, industry stakeholders told the Vanguard that the initial enthusiasm has been overtaken by frustration due to supply shortages and insufficient infrastructure as well. Now, they said that inadequate refuel facilities and the gas itself across the country have become the users' and investors' nightmare in recent times. What was touted as the next best thing, ADL was pushed and pushed and pushed, is facing a lot of issues here. I even read somewhere in the story as well that in part of Abuja to Nasarawa thereabouts, in a certain corridor, there are about 49 petrol stations. Within that same corridor, there's only one CNG refill station. Hey, that is where we are right now, AB. Take it from here.
Let me start. Yes, this was one of the things that this government has tried to tout as one of its quote-unquote successes in the first 2 years of being in office. And I ask one question. Just last weekend, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came to Lagos with a convoy of about 50 or more vehicles for the 50th anniversary.
138.
138 vehicles for the 50th. So 3 vehicles per year of ECOWAS existence on average. Which one of those vehicles was CNG powered? Leadership is supposed to be done by example. It is clear that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who announced this with great fanfare, lacks the capacity, ability, or the self-reflection to even see that if he showed an example, it might even lead to better things. In terms of crisis of competence, this is one of the most emblematic situations on display right now. In terms of tragedy of low expectations, that 138 convoy, more or less, went to go and commission 30 kilometers out of a proposed 700 kilometers. That just shows you the kind of standards, which should not surprise me that WAEC is failing. If somebody can celebrate 4.2% of something, are you surprised that WAEC is having this kind of failures? Then back to the statistics. Go on Google, anybody listening, there are 50, count it, 50 CNG stations in Nigeria. On average, there are 200,000 kilometers of road in Nigeria, out of which only 60,000 are tarred. Let's take the 200,000. That would mean that if you were to distribute the stations evenly across Nigeria, you would have one roughly every 1,500 kilometers, meaning you have to drive to Lagos, to Maiduguri, and back, and maybe reach Abuja to get your next CNG station. That runs into that has run into major hitch. The major hitch is that there is incompetence writ large in the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration. This is a policy which I could support, but clearly the people there think that hope is a strategy. Renewed hope or non-renewed is clearly not the way to achieve. This is a project, meaning you count from 0 CNG stations to X number of CNG stations. You would distribute them across the country. Right now, there's apparently none or almost none in the north of the country. How do you expect a policy like this to just self-energize itself? How do you think that people have even spent money and time converting, but they spend between 4 and 8 hours lining up right now. Some of them are converting back to petrol. So it's not a major hitch. It is currently a failure in policy. And that rests at the desk, at the foot, at the whatever you want to call it, of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because this was one of the things he said was one of the solutions to him removing fuel subsidy. But clearly, he lacks the ability, the competence, and the temperament to provide solutions when he gets up, jumps up, and in 38 seconds or so of being a president, announces a removal of the policy. President Bola Tinubu, this one is on you. It is not a major hitch, it's a major failure. The only person who can drive it is the president when he decides that, by example, he will convert that his Cadillac to CNG. Then I'll believe him. Right now, he is not credible as a president in that regard. CNG is a failure in Nigeria so far, and it is the president who is to blame 100%.
So I think, just to add to what AD has said, I think it's instructive that no security agency, no foremost ministry department or normal agency has started the move towards converting part of its car fleet to CNG powered vehicles. And it's very instructive. How are we going to get there if the people who should use it don't use it?
Don't forget, every year in every budget, you find cars upon cars upon cars being ordered. Do you remember every single budget orders at least 50 billion cars? Not one of those cars is CNG driven. Who else can order cars in those quantities? Where else would the move to CNG be most powered if it was part of the government? But no, all of them are getting jeeps from here and there, bulletproof and non-bulletproof, not one of them CNG. Excuse me, miss me with that crap.
There's a message here from this is Dean Alausa says, how are you sure some of the cars in the convoy are not CNG? Don't say what you don't know.
Don't say what you don't know either, caller or writer.
I'm pretty sure that if any cars in that convoy are actually CNG cars, looking at this government's antecedents, they would sing it to the high heavens.
Correct.
That
when things don't even exist, they make it as propaganda. Not to talk of they actually made it exist. Please.
So I'm highly doubtful that any of the cars in that convoy are actually CNG. But hey, what do I know at the end of the day? All right, Mr. C, let us take a walk into The Guardian and let's talk about AI. Today's a good day to talk about AI. And the federal government, they've begun using AI, that's artificial intelligence, to identify the most vulnerable Nigerians as part of efforts to scale up its conditional cash transfer program. Now, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, Nintawe Goshwe Yilwata, disclosed this during an interview with Arise News on Friday. Now, Yilwata said the use of AI in collaboration with telecommunications companies enables the identification of poor individuals in both rural and urban areas. Adding that the process helped add 6.5 million urban poor individuals to the National Social Register, bringing the total number of people listed to 19.7 million. A number of issues here, Mr. C. I mean, one is the issue of using AI for this. The other issue where I'm seated, I don't know if you also have an issue with this, is the fact that we're still scaling up this conditional cash transfer program.
Okay. Arius, thank you. So our experience with this particular administration is it is an administration of illusions. They think this is a competition of magicians, and they're competing as to who can create the best illusion. Now, we have a minister of Humanitarian Affairs, and I think there's a problem with that particular ministry. They need to conduct prayers for that ministry, because everyone who's occupied the executive seat in that ministry has come out and done things in a ridiculous manner. So here he comes on live national TV telling us the federal government has started using artificial intelligence. Hello, sir. First question, who in the federal government, which department, which ministry, which agency has started using artificial intelligence? That's the very first question. Two, which of the AI models are you using? That's question number two. Question number three, Dr. Bosun Tijani, is he involved in this exercise, this illusion that you're trying to create, that you're determined to create? Now, question number four, this whole business of a poverty alleviation register started with the last administration, and the composition or makeup of that register was widely disputed, widely flawed. They said the efforts were on track to clean up the register. Now we're told AI added with the use of AI, 6.5 million Nigerians were further added to this list, and they were identified from rural and urban areas. So question number five, Honorable Minister, with what indices is artificial intelligence able to determine or establish who is a vulnerable Nigerian given only a phone number? Now, the minister said something scary. Now, I'm moving to the flip side, assuming this illusion even has some semblance of truth in it. He said with the numbers, they know their banks, they know their financial services. Now, that is very disturbing from a data privacy perspective. You have no business looking into any Nigerian's bank account without a valid court order.
Let's even assume, Mr. C, that you can even look into one's bank account. Is that a good metric?
No, you're not even support under the Constitution. You're guaranteed privacy. So that I work with the Ministry for Humanitarian Affairs does not give me the right to look into your bank account.
I know. I'm just saying that is that a good metric to even use to determine who is vulnerable or not?
Again, another question. It's a doubtful metric. Now, we are now told that the register stands at 19.7 million. And the minister further claims that 94% of the people or the names populated on that register have been physically verified. Hello, sir. Question number 7. Let's take Lagos that we live in. How did you do this physical verification and the news did not spread everywhere? I'm pretty sure in River State, nothing like that happened. Well, you are telling us 94% were verified. Verified by who?
94% is a very serious pass mark.
It's shocking.
Virtually everything, or a huge part of the whole has been verified, is what they're saying.
94% is exceptional. I do not know any Nigerian government since independence that has gotten 94% in any role objective it had to sort out. So, again, Mr. Minister, I don't know why this administration feels the need to come out to make statements that are clearly untrue, clearly not correct, clearly not factual, and try to pass them off as true. Then when they're rebuffed or rebutted, they act confused, they act surprised, they act shocked. Now, why are you continuing to give handouts? Why not create a conducive environment for people to prosper, for small and medium scale businesses to prosper? Pick any serious country that is prospering, from China to Canada to South Korea to Germany to France to Poland to Spain to Italy. It is the small and medium businesses that drive the economy. But here it's vibes and inshallah. Let's continue.
And AI. And AI.
Thank you. Thank you
The
very much.
I,
And AI.
the
Yes.
I in this version of AI is illusion.
So artificial illusion in a nutshell, AB.
Yes.
All right. Thank you for clearing that one up. Anyways, AB, let's take a walk into the punch. We keep things moving. Keep your thoughts coming in on WhatsApp on 0809-444-0981. Also, leave a comment on YouTube or streaming live once again at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Michael says, "Good Lord, hope is not a strategy. This should be the best catchphrase for the year 2025. Please, my cool people, you are doing well." And then Michael also says Juju is AI in Nigeria. It defies logic and reasoning and comes without a user manual. Well, here we are. All right, Abi, let's talk about this. The federal government has announced plans to deploy 7 million smart meters through its presidential metering initiative, aiming to eliminate estimated billing and reduce revenue leakages. The special advisor to President Bola Tinubu on Energy, Mrs. Olu Verhegen, disclosed this in an interview with the news agency of Nigeria in Abuja on Sunday. Now, speaking on the second anniversary of Tinubu's administration, she stated that the smart meters would end collection losses for most on-grid customers who are currently unmetered. I mean, we've heard about this initiative being put in place before and the drive to provide more meters. Well, 7 million meter rollout is going to happen. Now, how soon is going to happen and how much of it will actually be deployed to the end users is another question entirely. But is this at least a good thing going forward?
Indeed, this would be the objective, as it's stated, is to eliminate estimated billing and reduce revenue leakages. For me, that objective is sterling. If we can eliminate estimated billing where somebody from one of these renamed NEPA offices just comes, looks at your house, looks at the neighborhood, and decides what you must have consumed, which was how they made estimated billing. If we can end that, we're already on a good trajectory. But I think the most important part of this story is that this whole thing comes out speaking on the second anniversary. That is why this is coming up, because forever I've asked, why are meters not more readily available? You see, the thing about a power meter is that unlike even maybe a private tablet or cell phone, it is connected to a residence. They have put this barrier to people getting meters, a certain cost upfront, when you can simply install the meter and amortize the cost of that meter over the next 2 years or 4 years, certainly, so that anytime you put 50,000 in, the first 10,000 goes towards the payment. But for whatever reason, they have chosen not to. Second thing, this is the federal government initiative. Fine. I have applauded the fact that when President Bola Tinubu entered, he helped promulgate a law that would make the various states net providers of energy and electricity. And in that regard, 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory have failed woefully, failed themselves and failed their populations woefully. So that is not on the president. That is on the state governors, whose sole work is to gather once a month, drink tea in a committee meeting, and go home having done nothing of value for the Nigerian people. If this actually happens, and 7 million consumers can now actually have an accounting for what they consume and pay accordingly, it will help the industry. But the question is the power there? Is it available on anything other than Band A? There are other things that are part of this network that have to happen. But on paper, at the outset, it is a positive potential development. I just ask, why only 7 million? How many people exist who are not metered right now? And side by side with that, they must put in place means to capture and detect those who try to bypass meters so that people like that are thoroughly criminalized, prosecuted, and punished. Because it's one thing to have a meter. There are some consumers, yes, consumers, Nigerians and otherwise, who think it's fun and games and choose to bypass these meters. Those people are actually criminals in whatever guise and should be punished to the full extent possible in the law. And I think law should be passed to make their punishment as severe as exists. So on surface, it's a good thing, but why just 7? Why not 14? Why not 20 million? Why? I don't know how many people there are who exist, who don't have meters, but please reduce the challenge. Let anybody who needs a meter get it and charge them by using it. It's really that simple.
Right. Okay, so let me quickly jump in on this, right? I agree with everything Ibi has said. Getting smart meters is not like going to your local bakery and buying bread off the shelf. These meters have to be ordered. Have the orders been placed? That is the first question. Question number 2, there is no timeline for this deployment. Are you planning to conclude it within a 6-month window? Are you looking at 12 months? Are you looking at 18 months? There's no window whatsoever. So there's really nothing to tie these guys to. When is the first shipment of meters getting here? Yes, we have companies locally producing the meters. But
why are we not using the local companies? I always ask, if we have a specification, give them the specification so you employ Nigerians more. Why must it always be? Look, we have the capacity, we have the ability, we have the willingness, we have the population inside this country. Why must we always, presumably, import every damn thing? Okay, let's import a Cadillac for the president. Can we please just make our meters locally?
Maybe you don't want people who import to eat. Let's be considerate on this Monday morning.
But do you want those who are here to also eat?
They will tell you the people here don't have the competence to do it.
Give them the spec. There is nothing missing, nothing lacking Nigerians' ability. That's the truth. It's unfortunate.
Well, Abi, you said why 7 million? I guess, I mean, you crawl, you walk, and then you run. So from 7 million, we increase the numbers. Well, let's see if we get 7 million first.
How did we even arrive at 7 million?
Not just that, Mr. C said something, and you even said it, Ayo. In what time frame? I said the only part of this story that has any part that you can hold on to is that it is being said at the 2nd year anniversary. That is the whole reason why the story exists. Because other than that, it is a story devoid of any means by which to hold the speaker accountable.
Let me take your messages. Jerry says, okay, good morning to all the gentlemen in the studio. So sorry for your pain. Our major focus for now is the coastal road. It will put food on the tables of all Nigerians, and there will be no one in need anymore. Believe in our reforms. It's for a lifetime. Only pray to be alive to enjoy the benefits. All right, Jerry. Thank you for the wise words this morning. This is okay. There's no name attached to the message. It says, Honorable Minister means ChatGPT. Well, I mean, it could be Claude, it could be Perplexity. Who knows which one they are employing? Ibrahim Zakari says, okay, good morning to the intelligent minds in the studio. How about, Amy, don't forget, as for the CNG White Elephant project, animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. Animal Farm, George Orwell did something with that book. Says, so, Mr. President, you and your cohort should continue. Bagam or Chakam?
Bagam. There's Bagam, there's Chakam.
Okay, that's two different things. Okay, I'm an OG like that.
Get your tips from Mr. C. He knows what's up.
Joseph Mede in Silver State says, please, I need answers. If the administration claims that the economy is booming from the policies of the government, why conditional cash transfer policy again? And the so-called register consists of mostly party loyalists. How do you know, Joseph? It's only party loyalists that are there. Also, there's impunity, educational fraud where leaders have falsified documents and certificates. What do they expect from the citizens where good grades are merit without good tests of the students? Mary Nikeja says, do the economically vulnerable have digital footprints? Good question. How are they able to use AI to determine this? They use prompts, Mary. They use prompts. Nigerian civil servants and government functionaries just like to use fluffy words, sometimes to feel among. Ah, Uchina, who is in Koshofe local government area, says, talking about CNG use in Nigeria is a big failure for now. Specifically, with the users having to queue for an average time of an hour and a half to buy gas. Not good at all, especially with CNG pipes running through Lagos. Is it rocket science to connect to stations and sell to the masses? But they have chosen not to. Truth be told, we do not have a serious-minded government. Tony Marine Beach says our politicians are simply amazing. What they've spent on commissioning just 30 out of the proposed 750 kilometers may just be enough to construct another 3 to 5 kilometers. Penny wise indeed. As for uh, as for Senate President Akpabio's action statements on that day, I expect him to come back and tell us what he meant by betrayal and choosing a successor in a democracy. Like rigging elections, like clicking on exam papers. Who will punish who? Hypocrisy has become the order of the day. Can we get our nation reborn and get the young brains to govern? Tony, is it the young brains who are being
Young
actively
brains like the
wild?
lion, the white lion. Young brains like the white lion.
Adiwale says, once you hear federal government plans to, just forget it. True, true. This is okay. Who's talking? This is my
Mr. Okoye.
okay, Mr. Okoye. Sorry, yeah. Thank you for that, Mr. C. While government is trying to provide smart meters, Ikeja Electric are disconnecting people to enforce estimated billing to meet revenue targets in Bagada. Now that is just
Aha.
ridiculous. Come on, what is going on? Attire says, thank God for second term, otherwise we won't know what this government is up to. Well, we shall see. Anyways, time has actually flown by. Thank you for all the messages. Let me check on YouTube if there's anything here. There is. Digi says, estimated billing is where they make money from services not rendered. I don't think the meters are smart if the operators are not smart. And Emeka says, may the FG's AI locate me. My account is on red. Emeka, just chill. Don't worry. They are getting ChatGPT 4, 4.0 before or whatever that one is. That's going to be the one that's going to use for you. Anyways, thank you so much for all the messages. And thank you, AB, and of course, Mr. C, for an amazing Monday on Freshly Pressed.
Again, as I said, we hope to get through these stories without barfing. You can see why I said so. It's ridiculous, preposterous, and delusional when you hear some of the things that some of these government officials say. At the end of the day, our fate is in our own hands. We have to create a community of like-minded people who want to excel in this country, because at the moment, it does not appear like the government people have any plans to aid Nigeria to succeed. I'm sorry, that's my perspective. And I'm not sorry, that's my perspective.
Okay, to everyone listening to the show, welcome to June. Let's just knuckle down, do the work. Let's change our ways. Let's do the right things at the right time. Let's do all the good stuff. And we'll start to see some much needed change and benefits coming your way. So here's to a productive, fruitful, and enjoyable June ahead.
Yes, a productive, fruitful, and enjoyable
Sorry,
June ahead.
I hope that as we're in June, we won't keep hearing June stories from this government. Let's move.
We can only hope so. All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me this morning. Thank you, Lagos, Nigeria, and the entire world for being a part of Freshly Pressed. As always, keep it tuned to the Smooth Breakfast. It's going to be the locker room at 8:15. Looking forward to that, the breakdown of the Champions League final, and so much more to come your way.